What's up, fantasy managers? It is week 6. If you're either desperate for a win or want to continue your win streak, let's look at the offensive line. It's not always sexy, but damn, they deserve to eat their cake too. If you want to win this week, stick around for 7 seconds. The information that I have for you today is the best information that we have that could determine the best and worst offensive line and defensive line matchups independent of the running back. This channel last week was telling you to start Rico Dowdle, and he won your week. And I will show you this information starting right now. Okay, let's get into this right here, right now. This is the table that I have created using PFF stats. And here is showing the offensive line versus the defensive line. This is the yards before contact per attempt that the offensive line is pushing for, and this is what the defensive side is giving up, so to speak. So red is bad, obviously. Green is good. Orange, yellow here, that is elite in each position. So these are the top 5 yards before contact per attempt for offensive lines, and this is the top 5 yards before contact for defense. Obviously, defense wants to be lower. They don't want to allow a lot of yards before contact. So this is the graph. Enjoy it. Love it. The first person I want to talk about, the first person I'm going to say that you need to put into your lineup, which I'm pretty sure he's already going to be in your lineup, but I am saying this is the week he's going to smash. Great opportunity this week. And it will be Kyren Williams from the Rams. Offensive line, they average at 1.62 yards before contact. That is elite. Going against the Ravens defensive line, that is allowing 1.32 yards before contact. They are getting bullied. They are getting bullied on the defensive line. They're also allowing 6 rushing touchdowns on the season. I believe, I'm looking through right now, that is, Titans have given up 8. So looks like the Bills and the Ravens are tied for second for the most rushing touchdowns allowed this season. So, Kyren Williams, this is going to benefit this guy. This was the same matchup that we had going on last week with Woody Marks. I said to start Woody Marks. That is my bad. I did not know he was going to pull an RJ Harvey and a Travion Henderson and revert back into a shell after a good game. So, my bad on that one. But still, Nick Chubb had a good game against the Ravens. This week, I am saying Kyren Williams is going to have a monster game against the Ravens. And it's all because of that offensive line. They are getting the push. They are pushing back the defenders. And Kyren Williams is getting majority of the carries inside the 5. He has 57% of inside the 5 carries for the Rams. This guy should kill it. Let's look at some stats. Right now, Kyren Williams is averaging 16.9 fantasy points per game. That is actually 10th best. He's averaging 4.5 yards per carry. That is better than last year. Last year was barely over 4.0. He is looking like the 2023 Kyren Williams, which means he has a possibility to be a top 5 running back because last year, or in 2023, he was top 2 with 21 points per game. So some of his metrics here, his snap share, even though he is sharing a lot with Blake Corum, I think Tyler has said in the past is every 3 drives Blake Corum comes in. If that is true, and it looks like it might be true, Kyren Williams is 6th overall in snap share, so he's on the field a lot. Opportunity share, he is ranked 10th. Weighted opportunities, he's getting the ball when it matters during important situations. That's what that means. He's 5th in carries, 9 in targets, which is great. He did not have a lot of receptions last year. This year, he is getting the targets. He is getting the receptions. Still, 6th in red zone opportunities. That's great. The one thing I do not like, though, is that he lacks the breakaway runs, so he's leaving a lot of points on the field. His yards per touch, it's still top 24, but we would like to see that a little bit higher. We got this guy probably, running back 12 overall in our draft. We want to see that to be higher. His evaded tackles is great. It's 6 overall, so he's not getting the breakaway runs, but he's getting the volume, and he's breaking down the little chunks. Now, I'm going to look at his yards after contact per attempt. And when I go to PFF and look at his yards after carry per attempt, it's actually not great. It's 34th overall, averaging 2.76 yards. 2.76 yards after contact per attempt. That's actually tied with Antonio Gibson. And we saw that he was not playing great this year, Antonio Gibson. So we would like those numbers to bump up. There's a good chance that they will bump up against the Ravens this year because Ravens right now, I'm looking at it, they're actually number 2 in running back and points allowed to running backs. Their defense has given up 31 points to running backs this season. That's second best. Great matchup. So I put up this stat here, and this stat is showing the best defenses and certain metrics. And it shows down here that Baltimore is actually 30th, ranked 30th in their rushing defense. Their DVOA, which actually measures how well a team's defense stops opponent's running game, adjusted for the situation and opponent quality, is negative 2.7, which is telling me here, if this is going to determine how well a team's defense stops opponent's running game, this is telling me they're not stopping the opponent's running game very well. Their PFF run grade is 50.6. That is an F. Their EPA allowed is 0.12. That's not good. And their run defense power is 23.1. So it is not looking good for the Baltimore Ravens defensive line. And just to add pepper in the gravy, I have this graph here that actually shows team rushing EPA and success rate minus, no scrambles. Look at where the Rams are at. They're up there with the Cowboys at over 50% success rate. And a rushing success rate is a play that is considered successful if it gains at least 50% of the yards to get a first down on first down, or 70% of the yards needed on second down. And this is the Rams in general as a team. This is not just saying Kyren Williams. For the team, for the Rams, their success rate when running the ball is amazing. It is top tier with the Dallas Cowboys up there. Their EPA per rush isn't great as a team, but you just cannot look past that success rate. They are having success running the ball. And if we want to get crazy and talk about the team's EPA, how it wasn't good, Kyren Williams in general is actually 17th best in the league and averaging a plus 3.3 EPA. So expect this guy to smash this week. Make sure he's in your lineup, no doubt about it. Put him in there, set it, and forget it. And the number 2 running back that you should have in your lineup, which he probably is, or maybe not. Maybe you're having doubts on this guy now. I'm here to reassure you this guy is probably going to dominate again this week, and it's going to be James Cook. The Buffalo Bills, their offensive line, they have earned a 1.22 yards before contact, and they're going against the Falcons. The Falcons actually give up a yard and a half. They give up a yard and a half before they're touching anybody. That is 1.55 yards before contact. That is not good for our defensive line. This looks like the Bills are just going to dominate this game in the trenches. And who's going to be the running back that's going to be getting majority of the carries is James Cook. Now, James Cook's goal line opportunity is a little bit low. It's under 50%. It's him or Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he's the vulture king. He's going to take some of those touchdowns. You're hoping that he's not going to do it in this game. There's a chance that he will, but James Cook, he is a goal line back when it comes to the running backs. That is good for him, and he's going to have that offensive line that's going to dominate against the Falcons. And something I do want to look at, it was last week's game against the New England Patriots. He did have 15 carries, which is still decent. He was only targeted once in the passing game, but he only had 4.9 points. That was 40th overall. Now, during the offseason, kept hearing, I was one of the people that was saying it, I'm here to probably get him his flowers, is that I was saying he was going to have touchdown regression. What did he have, like 16, 18 touchdowns last year? And on only 201 rushing attempts? That's unheard of. You can't sustain that. The thing is, he's still scoring touchdowns. He has a total of, I'm reading this right now, 5 touchdowns on the season. But the thing is, he is getting carries. He's averaging 4 more carries this season than he did last season. That's great. He's becoming a bell cow. But last week, he had a tough matchup. He went up against the New England Patriots. And the New England Patriots, here, I can show you once I find them. They're actually, look at that. They're actually in the elite category of only giving up 0.62 yards before contact. They've only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. Their run defense is actually pretty good. Who would have thought? Well, they got Mike Vrabel as their head coach now. That's probably a thing. But they went up again. That was a tough matchup for James Cook. That was a tough matchup for the Bills. They end up losing that game to Drake May and that team. Crazy. Anyway, James Cook, if you were thinking like, yes, this is correct, he's going to have his regression. It starts here. It starts right now. I don't think so. It's not going to happen this time. James Cook, he's going to have a bounce back. He's going against the Falcons. He's going to run the ball. Let's see how many times he usually runs per game. 18 times. He runs the ball 18 times. I want to look at 2024. What did I say? He has 4 more carries for each game. Oh, I was wrong. He actually averages 6 more carries a game than he did last season. So he's becoming the workhorse, the bell cow for that team. Now, with these 18 opportunities he is getting on the ground, which let me tell you, that is 3rd most in the league with 90 carries overall in the season. He has 4th. He's number 4 in red zone touches with 22, 5 goal line opportunities. His opportunity share is 8th overall. Rushing yards, oh my gosh, he's killing it in the rushing yards. He's actually averaging 90 rushing yards a game. That's 2nd overall. Total touchdowns at a 4.9% rate. That's 3rd overall. When it comes to yards per touch, he's 12th at 5.3. So every time this guy is touching the ball, with either if it's a catch or if it's a run, he's at least getting 5.3 yards. That's 12th over. That's 12th best. Breakaway runs, he's 7th. He has 4 breakaway runs on the season at 4.4 rate. That is good. He's in the top 25 in yards created per touch. His EPA, his expected points added, he's 7th best at plus 9.6. That's great. This is great for this running back here. But now I want to check his yards after contact. And according to PFF, not bad. He's in the top 20. He's still averaging 3.32 yards after contact. So in this game, he will average around 1.5 to 2 yards before getting contact. And then if he does get contact, he's going to get an additional 3.32 yards. So with that being said, we're already talking about how his yards per touch, when he touches the ball, he at least gets 5 yards. So every time this guy touches the ball, he's at least getting you half a point. Not last week, but he will again this week. And I don't care if Atlanta is actually 32nd overall in running back scoring with 15. I don't like seeing that number, but I don't care. This is a James Cook game. This is going to be a bounce back game for James Cook and all his owners. Rushing yards over expected per attempt, he's top 10, which is great. He's averaging 0.95 yards, rushing yards over expected per attempt. So whatever the defense is allowing him to have, he actually earns more. He's actually getting more yards. This guy is actually putting up a really good year. This could be another smash hit. I think it's going to be another smash hit. Atlanta is 16th overall and allowing 109 rushing yards a game. And what we just said, James Cook, he's for his team, his opportunity share is 77.6%. So he's going to get most of the opportunities. He's going to get most of the carries. He's getting 18 a game, already averaging 90 yards a game. He's going to get majority of that work. Atlanta's defense is 16th overall, allowing 109 rushing yards a game. I think this is it. Start him. Make sure you start him. He's a smash hit. And before I get into the third running back that you should put into your lineups and feel confident starting this week, if you're new to the channel or liking this information, if you could please smash the like or hit the subscribe. I have a sign here. It says, subscribe, I'm poor. And ain't that the truth? We have the goal to reach 3,000 at the end of this year, and we can't do it without you guys. We appreciate all you owners out there. Thank you for watching. And then the last guy I want to say that you got to put into your lineup is going to be Bill. Put Bill in your lineup. Yes, of course. The Commanders, they are earning a 1.36 yards before contact, and they are facing the Chicago Bears defensive line. They are actually the worst and allowing 2 yards before contact. This is the team that allowed Ashton Jeanty to go out and score 30 points. Everyone thought Ashton Jeanty was dead until he played the Bears. He had a hell of a game. Now it's Bill's turn. After what we saw, what Bill did last week, we're hoping that he's going to maintain that amount of work. And if he does, he should have a great game against the Bears. Put up another RB1 performance. It even shows here inside the 5, he's getting the ball 40% of the time, which is not great. But that role a lot was going to other running backs on the team. They also have Jaden Daniels taking some goal line carries, but it is increasing week by week, which is good. Some stats I want to give you, like rushing success rate leaders at running back, minimum of 40 rushing attempts. Number one is Bill at 65%. Number 2 is actually James Cook at 53%. So he's got that number 1 right now locked in. Last week in week 5 against the Chargers was his breakout game. He had 27 fantasy points. He had 49% of the snap share, 61% of the attempts, 39% routes, 9% targets. He has moved more into the lead position. And running backs drafted on day 3 over the last decade to average 6+ yards per carry through the first 5 games of their career. There's only one person. I know, it's Bill. Right now, he's in a league of his own. And then one of the best stats to have is that he leads all qualifying running backs with a 1.26 PPR points per touch. So every time he touches the ball, he's earning a PPR point of 1.26. That is actually number 1. Number 2 is Jonathan Taylor. We know what kind of season he's having at 1.10. That's a huge margin. And then if we want to give the cakes to the big guys up front, according to ESPN research, Bill has gained 59 yards before contact. That's most by a Washington running back this season. And so last week was his biggest week. He had 14 carries. That's career high. 2 red zone carries, which seems to match his season high. So he's at least gained 2 red zone carries a game. He ran a career high of 12 routes. He was targeted twice. He had a total of 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, equal to 27 points. That was 5th best last week for running backs. This guy's just playing out of his mind. He's number 2 in yards per touch at 7 yards. Every time this guy's touching the ball, whether it's a catch or a run, he's averaging 7 yards with it. He's 4th in breakaway runs with a rate of 11.6%. Explosive rating, he's 2nd overall. His yards created per touch is 3rd best in the league. He's 12th best in expected points added at plus 4.1. This guy is just killing it. And so his yards after contact per attempt is going to be, I already know, it's going to be something amazing here because it's actually 2nd best in the league, only behind RJ Harvey. He's averaging 4.40 yards after contact. He's going up against a team that allows 2 yards before contact. He's going to average another 4.40 yards after contact. That's around 6 yards. This guy's already averaging 7 yards per touch. This defense is going to see a lot of Bill. Hopefully, there's still a lot of Bill, and Bill's going to run all over them. The Bears in general, let's see how many. They're 31st in the league, allowing 164 rushing yards per game. Their points, they're 3rd best for running backs. They allow 30 points a game to running backs. That's 3rd best, right behind Cincinnati and the Ravens. One last thing I want to throw out here is rushing yards over expected per attempt. Let's see where he's at. Oh, don't have to go far because he's at the very top. He's number 1 at 2.17 rushing yards over expected per attempt. So he's, whatever the defense is giving him, he's getting an additional 2 yards. This guy's playing out of his mind. The only thing that's going to hold this guy back is like with the other rookies. They finally get a good game, and then they go back on their shell. The coaches say, nope, not yet, and you go back, and some other guys get most of the carries. I think of all running backs, that's not going to happen with this guy. I think he's shown enough that he's going to continue, get another 14, 15 opportunities on the ground, maybe get some targets in there, but his matchup is pretty sweet against the Bears, just allowing too much on the ground. This guy, if you're wondering like, oh, he had a good game last week, is it going to happen again this week? Yes, it will happen again this week. Put this guy into your lineup to light up your points. I went and discussed the 3 players that I want to try to target this week because I believe they're going to do well. They're going to smash. They're going to do well for your team. But there's also the other side. The players that we want to ice out. The players that we do not want in our lineups. So if we can, we try to switch them out with somebody else. The first player I want to talk about is Alvin Kamara. Earlier this week on our trade episode, he was my player that I'm saying that you should trade away because it's not looking good for him in New Orleans, and it does not get much better for him this week. We were just talking about how James Cook had a bad game against the New England Patriots. Their defensive line allows an elite 0.62 yards before contact. That's top 5 for defensive lines, but the Saints' offensive line, it's horrible. They allow 0.72 yards before contact. So they can't even gain a yard after the line of scrimmage before they get tackled, before they get hassled with. Alvin Kamara, he's the main guy back there, maybe, still, I don't know. But right now he's getting 100% of the goal line carries. I believe that will change because of the way Kendre Miller is playing. They got Taysom Hill back, so I think that 100% will drop. But they're already not getting a lot of push on the offensive line. They are losing the battle. They have Chris Olave. That is great because they are having to throw the ball a lot. That's what's going to probably save Alvin Kamara. Is going to be the passing game because his targets have increased over the past 2 weeks, but he's only averaging 15 receiving yards on the season. That is right now the lowest in his career. The second lowest, I believe, was 2022 when he only averaged 32 receiving yards for the whole year. It's now looking good. I don't know if it's because of the offensive scheme. It's because he's 30 years old. Either way, this matchup is not great for him. The Patriots have only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. So some of the stats I want to give here are going to be about rushing. And so far on the year, he's averaging 3.9 yards per carry, which is one of the lowest in his career, the second lowest in his career. We need that number to bump up. He's only averaging 11 points a game, which is 28th overall. Where you drafted him at, that's not where you want him. He's on the field at least. He's top 12 in snap share at 11th overall. His opportunity share is top 20. You want that a little bit higher as well. And carries is getting at least 14 carries a game. But that has been slowing down some. Against San Francisco, he had 21 carries, which is great. He had 16 points that game. That was 15th overall. The following game against Seattle, he actually had 18 carries, but he only had 6 points, which is 40th overall for that week. Against Buffalo, have a pretty poor run defense. He got 11 points, 29th overall for that week. And then last week against the Giants, he only had 8 carries. That only earned him 9.5 yards. That's 27th overall. He did get a lot of targets the last 2 games. The last 2 games, he has 11 targets, which is what you want for a running back, I guess. He had a total of 8 receptions out of the 2 games combined. Not getting a lot of receiving yards, though, like I said, so that's not good. But back to the rushing. He's only got 1 goal line carry. So that 100%, they've only been inside the 5-yard line once this season out of, 5 games, and he had the only goal line carry. And I don't know if he scored or not. But 12 red zone touches. That's 19th overall. He's still doing okay in the receptions. He's averaging about 3 receptions a game. That's top 10. He's running the routes. He's doing all that Alvin Kamara stuff that we know about. Yards per touch, he's 43rd overall. Yards created per touch, he's 32nd overall. 36th overall, my bad. Breakaway runs, top 16. It's still there, but not really. On a per touch basis, this guy is scoring you 0.63 points per touch. That is horrible. That's in the same category as Tony Pollard at 0.62 and Chase Brown at 0.60. And it's actually his lowest PPR points per touch since 2022 when it was 0.76. So there's a gap between right now and his lowest in a whole season. And what we don't like to see is Kendre Miller's snaps continue to grow. Week 1, 13%. Week 2, 16%. 27%. 32%. Last week, 41%. That's cutting into Alvin Kamara time. Now I'm going to PFF to see his yards after contact per attempt. I'm scrolling. 36 overall. That doesn't help out this case at all. He's averaging 2.75 yards after contact per attempt. That's right behind Blake Corum, right in front of Ollie Gordon. So this isn't the same Alvin Kamara that we know. And he's going up against a tough defense, like I said. So New England actually is 4th best and only allowing 85 rushing yards per game. When it comes to scoring, they are 28th in running back scoring. They're only allowing 18 points per game. And right now, it looks like he is splitting that with Kendre Miller. So it does not look good for him. And I'm going to check out his rushing yards over expected per attempt. This is something he's normally been a boss at. Bottom 6 in rushing yards over expected per attempt at negative 0.53, which means what the defense is actually allowing him to have, he not even able to take it. Until we see some drastic change in that backfield, right now I am not trying to start Kamara. I'm actually trying to sell Kamara. I suggest you do the same. And the second guy, it's almost like a broken record, but the second guy that we're going to talk about that you got to try to get out of your lineup somehow, some way, because I know he was a 2nd-round draft pick, maybe in the 1st round in some leagues, but it's Chase Brown. When are we going to say enough is enough with this guy and maybe try to trade him? The Bengals' offensive line is just horrific. They're garbage. They're trash. I don't know how else to say it. Put it out there every Wednesday night so the trash man can come pick it up and take them away. They are averaging a poor 0.74 yards before contact, and they will be facing against the Green Bay Packers, who have an elite defensive front, and they're only allowing 0.52 yards before contact. So not even a half a yard after the line of scrimmage. They're already getting up in the running backs' faces, and the Packers have only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. It just has not looked good for Chase Brown, and now they have Joe Flacco. I don't know if that's an improvement or what, because I believe the main issue with the Bengals is their offensive line. So some of the stats for Chase Brown, he actually has the most touches this season without a 15-plus yard game. He's number 1 with 83 attempts. He does not have a 15-yard-plus game. That's not good. His rushing yards over expected per attempt, he's actually in the bottom 3 at negative 1.07. We just talked about Alvin Kamara being the bottom 6. He's in the bottom 3. So he's actually leaving points on the field. His yards per carry is an astounding 2.5. He is averaging 2.5 yards per carry. And he has some good stats. His opportunity share is 4th overall. Weighted opportunities, 13th overall. He's even getting targeted out of the backfield. And he's averaging 4.4 targets per game, which is 6th best overall. Only 2 goal line opportunities. I don't like that. When it comes to receptions, he has 18 on the season. That's 6th overall. That's 6th best. I mean, yards per touch, though, 3.1. That's 50th. Ranked 51st overall in yards per touch, only averaging 3.1. I think that also sticks to the 2.5 yards per carry. He's not creating any yards per touch either. He's actually 50th in yards created per touch at 2.52. It just does not look good for Brown. So stuff runs is getting hit or toggled behind the line of scrimmage. He's actually ranked 9th in stuffed runs. He is getting stuffed behind the line of scrimmage, toggled behind the line of scrimmage at a rate of 21.5%. When it comes to rushing yards over contact per attempt, I go to PFF here, and he is, man, am I seeing this right? Well, I can't find him because he's not even in the top 50 in yards after contact per attempt, which means on this screen, the lowest I see is DeAndre Swift at 2.33. Not good for Chase Brown. And against the Packers, let me see, where are they at? Green Bay. Green Bay is actually second overall, and they only allow 77 yards, rushing yards a game. That's just right behind Cleveland at 75. And their points here, let's see, they allow the 26th most points to running backs. So not a good matchup. I don't think Joe Flacco's the answer. I think it's offensive line. If the offensive line is going to stay the same, he's still going to struggle. Try to package this guy up. I think it's time to move on. I don't think it's going to get any better because of how bad that offensive line is. If you can, if there's a way, take him out of your lineup. Very bad matchup this week and put in someone else. Now let's end this thing with the last person I want to talk about. Jaylen Warren coming back from injury. He is facing the Browns defensive line, and the Browns are probably the best defensive line in the league. Their yards before contact is 0. That's what they average per attempt. They are meeting these people, and they are not gaining a yard before they are being touched. You will have to fight through Mordor to gain a yard against the Browns. And the Steelers' offensive line isn't performing great. They're averaging 0.6 yards before contact. So they are not, their offensive line is playing terribly, and they're going up against an elite defensive line in the first 5 weeks of the year. It does not look good for them. The Browns, they have allowed 3 rushing touchdowns on the season. Jaylen Warren, 50% of the carries inside the 5. That's good. I do believe he is the main guy. He has just missed some time, and Kenneth Gable has had some opportunities. But I think it's going to be Jaylen Warren in the end and in this game. But I'm thinking maybe you should not have this guy in your lineup for this week. When it comes to the rushing, he is going to play very poorly. You're going to hope that he's going to catch the ball, which he probably will because he's a pass-catching running back. He's actually been playing very well before the injury. He was second on the team in receptions and first in the team's receiving yards before his injury, which is great. But his rushing attempts has not been great. He hasn't been the best at running the ball this year. He's averaging 14 points a game. That's actually 16th best. And when it comes to carries, he's getting 14 a game. That's 31st overall. He's getting targeted at least 4 times a game. His receptions before the missed game, he had 11, averaging around 4 a game as well. But his receiving yards, what he could do, after the catch, he averages 47 receiving yards a game. That's actually 8th best. He has 142 on the season, and that's what the game missed. He's actually number 1 for running backs in yards per route run at 3.94. That's great. That's amazing. Yards per touch, he's in the top 24. Yards created, he's in the top 12. And that's what his main skill set is the yards created. So he's in the top 12 for yards created per touch. His missed tackles forced per attempt when it comes to rushing is actually 0.32, and that's elite numbers. That's what you're hoping for when it comes out of Jaylen Warren, but the efficiency is not there. Now he faces the Browns defense that only allows 75 rushing yards a game. That's number 1. That's the number 1 defense right there. And when it comes to running back, fantasy football scoring, the Browns are actually 30th overall. They're only allowing 16 points to running backs. If you have to play this guy, which I understand you want to play this guy because he has opportunity, he has a high ceiling, but he's going to have a low floor if he's not going to get the receptions. So I think the receptions, the goal line carry could save him this week. If he does not get that, he will not do well for you. If you can, maybe switch him out for somebody who has a better matchup. And yes, now we're at the end of the video. So now you know the 3 running backs that you should try and start. We also got the 3 running backs that you should try to avoid if you can. We have more videos coming out during the week, so make sure to hit that alert button so every time one of our videos pop up, you get the notification, you go straight there and watch it and like it, hopefully. So every week, me and Tyler, we do a live video and we do our rankings for each position for that week. You can come in, have a couple brewskis, ask questions. We're there for you guys and talk some shop. I'll talk to you in that video. Deuces.